Hello and welcome to today's session on the World Retail Banking Report 2022. My name's Hannah Moisant. I'm the Head of Content and Partnerships here at EFMA. And it's my pleasure to be here to welcome you all today. And of course, to welcome all of our speakers for today. So let me start off by introducing you to our first speaker, who will be Elias Ganem, Global Head of Market Intelligence at Capgemini Financial Services. And he'll be taking us through the key findings of the World Retail Banking Report from this year. Then he'll be speaking to Sabrina Fox, who's the Director of Customer Delivery at Bank of Ireland, about the role of CMOs as custodians of experience. Next up, Elias will be talking to Kristen Brown, Global Financial Services Strategy and Solutions Lead at Google Cloud, and they'll be discussing an industry expert's view on data and digital shaping the future of banking. And finally, we'll be hearing from Chandramouli Venkatasan, who's the go-to market lead for digital transformation at Capgemini Financial Services. So without any further ado, Elias, welcome. Thank you for being here today. And we're delighted to be able to hear from you about the World Retail Banking.
Thank you, Hannah, and thank you all for joining us today from around the world. I'm here reaching out to you from Paris. Hopefully, just by me mentioning Paris, we're all traveling a little bit around the world as we get into the road to travel. Well, if I want to say about the World Retail Banking Report, if I were to summarize into one word, is we talk to each other again, we shake hands again, we engage again. And you could see the cover of our report, which shows it all, shows the warm connections that we are expecting to happen again. And every single person is looking for that. And that's why the title of our report is the Customer Engagement Imperative. It's essential that we all re-engage with our customers, and how banks can learn from how the fintech have done it and about the fintech playbook. Our World Retail Banking Report is part of all the thought leadership that Capgemini produce along the year. It's the first report of the year, which is being launched today. It will quickly be followed by the World Property and Casualty Insurance Report that we'll talk about, as you could see, the climate warming and what's happening. Then we will have our World Wealth Report in June. We've been doing it for 26 years. Last year was our quarter-century edition. Then we'll get into the life and health insurance, which is a segment that is completely transforming. And we finish the year with the World Payment Report that will be live in October. All that is the thought leadership that Capgemini want to share with you all. It's you could easily go and get it into worldreports.capgemini.com, and everything is for you. We'd love you to follow us on social media, #WRBR for World Retail Banking Report 2022. Please be there, and we are posting a lot about it. So if we were to jump into the report, to put some perspective about it, we invest a lot of time and effort to listen to the market. So for every report we do, we talk a lot to customers. More than 8,000 customers responded around the world on what we have done. More than 140 executives gave us also their point of view. And we made sure to listen also what's happening in the market through AWS, Google Cloud, Thought Machine, and Adobe. This is a very large population that we engage with. We want to make sure that we cover the globe, Americas, Europe, and APAC, that we want to cover gender, male and female. Very important to make sure that all age groups are represented, and we insist a lot on the location, from large metropolitan area to small town and rural area, to get everybody's opinion. 8,000 customers sharing with us their point of view. But also when we engage with the business executive, we need to make sure that we cover all bank tiers, right? Large banks and mid-tier banks, and also a great representation around the world that makes our insight very useful and very adapted to the market. All the insight that we're going to share with you today are the global perspective, but if you go on the website, you will be able to have an interactive way also yourself with the data and pick and choose the market that you want to look into it more in details. Now, on top of engaging with executives, on top of engaging with customers, we are always honored to have an executive steering committee, the gurus of the industry, the people that will help us think through, and we make sure to have a balance between bankers. So we have with us Frederic from Citizens in the US. We have Michael from Belgium, from BNP Paribas Belgium, and we have Olivier from ING in the Netherlands. We also have fintech and technology partners, Alexander from N26. We have Tink, Sylvia from Tink, and we have Wilson from Akoya. But also we want to make sure that we take into consideration the enablers of all that, Chris from Adobe, Travers from Thought Machine, and Zach from Google Cloud, people that will give us the insight on what's happening in the market. Any insight that we do need also to have the point of view about the expert, and we are honored to have Helen out of London, as well as David and Raghuram out of Wharton in the US, that gave us other insight about how the banking is shaping and how the marketing is shaping. So all these people has been with us along the report and helped us shape the report and help us come to the main conclusion of the report is about the customer centricity, the customer engagement imperative, and truly what banks can learn from the fintech playbook. And if you take back the last sentence, what can banks learn from the fintech playbook? Today, our first message is it's time now for the banks to learn from how the younger ones are doing it, how the fintech are doing it, and to decode the value loop that the new players are doing and decode the value loop to enrich the customer engagement and get back into the race in front of the fintech players into it. So decode is important, but decoding is only useful if you put it in application. And if you transform the two pillars of the new banking and about the two pillars of engagement, which is the digital channels and the data capabilities. And all that are essential to chart what is the future, what we call as experiential journeys of the new banking experience. So decode is important, transform is important, but for us, the most important is run with it, embrace the future of banking. And to embrace the future of banking, it's essential to go big. It's essential not to do it just incremental, but to reset the mindset of the way we look at banking, the metrics. Profitability is a must, but it's not the only criteria. Fun is important. Customer telling us I'm having fun with my bank is important. So resetting the mindset, resetting the metrics, but also resetting the technology to deliver on that. And if I were to say the most important things that banks need to reset is the talent pool to make it more approachable, more educated towards the customer's need. So let's jump into this analysis about how to decode, transform, and embrace. Let's look at where the market is today. And first, let's look at where are the traditional banks today. And clearly today, banks are struggling to reach, to convert, and to engage with customers. Look at the numbers that the executive we talked to told us. 82% of the executives we engage with believe that the banks lack ability to identify new customer segment, the identification of an homogeneous segment and be able to target them with the right offer. 82% are struggling to do that. 55% of the bankers are struggling to offer seamless onboarding experience. While e-onboarding has become the norms of all digital players, traditional ones are still struggling to do it. And one of two executives agree that they lag in delivering personalized content through the right channel and at the right price. And onboarding and content is what means the conversions to convert a customer from a first purchase to a repeat customer. And the most struggling one is the day-to-day, the engagement, how we move from a repeat customer to a loyal customer and how we run the risk of make it a lapsed customer. And more than 50% of the executive say that today they struggle to reduce the customer churn. They fail to cross and deliver the right upselling opportunity, and they find it difficult to deliver organic growth. So there are solutions for each one of them. Evolve to macro segmentation, deliver the straight e-onboarding. And by the way, don't try to do it alone, do it with the startup ecosystem that is now doing it quite well and quite at scale. build the digital capabilities to be able to deliver the right personalization. And if there is one thing bank should do better is maximize, nurture, develop the data use. But all that number that we're seeing here, from the identification to the engagement, has a direct impact on the customer mind share. And let's look at that. When we engage with the customers, more than 8,000 customers around the world, the key message we got is the customers are not getting the desired value from their banking interaction. Look at that. 30% of the customers are saying that their bank is not giving them service banking. 30% is a small number, right? 70% are happy, but 30% are yet not getting on-demand and seamless service banking. But look at the numbers, how they go in the wrong direction. 45% of the customers are saying that they are not getting value from the bank, value banking, innovative, value for money, reward, personalization. And finally, 47%, 1 out of 2 almost, are not getting the experience they want. They are not getting fun from their bank. They are not perceiving that the bank is connecting with their lifestyle. They are not feeling that their bank is socially responsible and emotionally connected. Look at these numbers in terms of lack of connectivity. The problem is that is directly impacting the banking experience. And the best way to evaluate the banking experience, the proxy, is the Net Promoter Score developed by Bain. And look at that. When we look at a scale in year 2021 about where are the banking NPS, overall, the NPS of the traditional banking is quite low, 34 on a scale of 100. All new age players has an NPS that is twice higher, if not more than traditional one. Look at some examples. We have Nubank out of Brazil with a 90 of an NPS. We have Atom Bank out of the UK. We have Monzo, we have Klarna, we have Chime, and on all of them, the NPS is quite higher. So let's look at how the new age player are doing it. And let's try to decode how they build the value loop. To illustrate our example, we looked into Nubank. And why did we do that? Because Nubank did its IPO quite recently with a very small valuation of more than 41 billion when they did their IPO. And as such, as they do their IPO, they have plenty of public information available. To put some numbers behind it, Nubank started in Brazil and today have more than 48 million customers. And look at the value loop and how Nubank is doing it. So the value loop of the new age player is about quickly attracting the right customers, converting them, and activating them. How do they do that? If we look at top left, how do they attract and convert prospect to customers? Basically with a very straightforward approach, no fee or even low-cost business model, fully digital and fully designed digital, and a fantastic onboarding experience. When we look at the numbers of Nubank, 110% CAGR growth between 2018 and 2021, 110%. There is not many banks that can today claim the same number of growth. 2.1 million new customers per month on average in Q3 2021. That take us straight to the activation and getting the first transaction. A lot of content and strategy focused on empowering and enable the customer. And that makes it a very great opportunity for the consumers to engage with. And that from activation to engagement, it's quite immediate. How do they do that? Community of users to drive a collaborative learnings. Everything is gamified. Everything is bundled between financial and non-financial services. And the upsell, cross-sell is every single day. And by the way, quite efficient thanks to the data that they are able to get. And that get them straight to engaging, retaining, referring, and growing. And when we look at the numbers, when it comes to derive sustainable long-term value, fantastic organic growth, fantastic post-purchase experience, and lowest acquisition cost in the market. $5 customer acquisition cost. More than one banker would be quite happy if they were able to get at $50 as an acquisition cost. And It's Nubank is not the only one doing that. And we looked at how Revolut, how Chime, how Starling Bank, how Monzo, how N26 are doing it, and it is exactly the same approach. And also what is very important is they are doing it from one market to the globe. And we look at the Revolut, the N26, they are across all Europe, UK, Asia, and US. We look at Nu that is covering all Latin America. So as new age players are leveraging their robust digital foundations, they are turning customers into advocates. How they do that? Because they have the right technology tree or the right technology platform. They have a modern core. And if there is one key message we want all the banks to be aware is be careful not to use the same core towards the new future. A digital core banking system completely into the cloud, enabling microservices environment. And if you have the microservices environment, you are able to do real-time API engagement for data and other activities. So modern cloud in the cloud with the right APIs. And as a consequence, as a positive consequence, they are able to offer a superior experience that engage with the customers. 75% of the customers are motivated to try and switch to new age player. And high adoption, 54% of the customers already have 2 or more products, and large majority is very happy and is willing to refer and recommend. So how can banks do that? And who should take care of making that happen? Who's the custodian of this new way of doing experience? And for us, it is the CMO organization, the Chief Marketing Officer, whose role has evolved, not only about the brand, but also they are here to drive the business. They are here to activate the customer. They are here to offer the right experience and to enable the right experience. And in some cases, even the CMO as a name is evolving, is disappearing. We look here at Bank of America, who said, no more CMO, now we are having Chief Digital Officer. And that's why we believe that the CMO is wearing now multiple hats to deliver on brand, business, activation, experience, and enablement. And as such, the CMOs are we're looking for them to do a lot of things and to do it in a collaborative manner. Their role is about core marketing. You could see here, direct responsibility is heavy on them in terms of core marketing. But when it comes to customer experience, when it comes to digital capabilities, when it comes to product innovation, they are working with their peers into the ecosystem. And that's why we believe that the CMO is turning to be the chief customer strategist, and he or she is the custodian of the NPS, but they need to work with the chief digital officer, the chief data, and the chief technology officer to build the right capabilities in digital and in data. They need to work with the ecosystem, the chief innovation officer or the chief ecosystem officer, to bring knowledge from the outside, catalyzing collaboration and innovation. And if they have the right capabilities, if they have the right collaboration, they're able to craft the personalized experience and work with the chief experience officer, the chief customer officer, or the new name of the CMO being the chief growth officer, to deliver the right experience. And that's why we really believe that the chief marketing officer is the chief customer officer in charge of the strategy and orchestrating the ecosystem to deliver on everything. We talked about data and digital. Data is the most important element. And if we look on the top right of the slide, financial data and behavioral data, banks do have that. The problem is they have it very siloed. They need to start sharing that within themselves, but not only sharing that, they need to add external data, being health and fitness data, geospatial data. Every single new age player is able to tell me whenever I change country. Barely my bank has never told me welcome to country A or country B when I traveled. Social media data and lifestyle data. This is me. And if somebody is able to get all that about me, I will be more able to engage with them. Banks need to collaborate with an ecosystem. And we've been observing quite a lot. Tink, that has recently been acquired by Visa, and Tink is able to capture data from all the segment of a bank, process it, enrich it with external data, and give it back to their client banks to build customer personas. But the biggest challenge that we are seeing is the CMO are telling us today, I struggle with the data. 80% of the CMOs are today struggling with the reliability of the data, with the inability to generate insight, with the people, the talented people to deliver all the insight and so on. And that's why we believe that data is the new oil. We've been saying that for quite some time, but data is what will create the right experience and deliver on the fly what the customer is looking for. But also data is important to be able to be targeted, to reach what we call precision marketing. You need to create a 360-degree customer view. You need to build the right customer intelligence, and you need to do it within the ecosystem. Another amazing example, Neuroprofiler, a scale-up out of France that has a global reach, is leveraging behavioral data to be able to quantify and put a dollar amount or a euro amount behind every customer persona. And if we do that, we're able to deliver the right precision marketing. And look at these numbers. 67% of the executive agree on the impact of precision marketing when it comes to automate marketing campaign. 100%, 98% recognize that precision marketing will bring the brand awareness and reach, and so on and so forth. How important is to do that? Precision marketing, but you can only do it if you have the right data and the right capabilities to deliver on that. So today, we talked about data, we talked about channel engagement. While digital is important, we took a very deep dive and we looked at the customer on the left and on the executive. And the good news is both sides are quite aligned. Look at that. 80% of the customers want to connect through website. 79% of the bankers believe that the website is the right channel. Fantastic. Social media, both of them believe that it's a channel, but not as important. When it comes to branches, more of the customers are looking to go to branches than retail bankers are believing the power of the branch. That's quite interesting. Mobile app is very important. Wearable is yet quite low, but because customers are adopting it faster than banks, but that's not a big problem. The beauty of it is there is a true alignment between both. The only problem is when we ask customers, what is your relationship with your bank, your happiness about it? 58% are still feeling friction when they engage with their bank for a loan or a mortgage. 57% to get their problem resolved, and so on and so forth. So it's essential to shift gears and have an omni-channel experience. And here I want to bring the attention, now that we are back in normal life, normal being meeting people, is branch is very important. Look at these numbers. 64% of the customer want to be able to go to the branch but have self-service option. Customers want lifestyle product and services. 44% of the customers want branches to be a place to greet, meet, and treat. And by meet and treat, we talk education, onboarding, digital activity, and so on. And when we ask the bankers about why branches are here for, relationship management, building the brand, getting data, offering the right experience online and in physical, delivering the trust and security is what banks are known for. And very important, bankers, which we strongly believe that branches are the heart of the financial and the digital inclusion. So now that we set up the stage, let's deep dive into the new banking. We call it Banking4 X. And what is Banking4 X? 3 pillars. An efficient platform bank with a sustainable growth. How you do that? By delivering an embedded finance into the customer life stage. And to deliver the right customer centricity, leveraging the right platform and the sustainable growth, you need data. You also need the right experience, and that's what Banking4 X is how can I offer an embedded finance, leveraging data with the right experience. And to make that happen, when we ask the CMO about what are their priority, two big priority came into it. It's about enhancing the processes about data, but it's also about innovating the product, diversifying the banking product portfolio, offer financial and non-financial, and so on. So change of mindset is at the heart of what we call Banking4 X. And to make that happen, few platform changes that are important. Partner selection with focus on complementary services. Work up with new players to deliver the right experience. Starling Bank is growing fundamentally well. Why? Because they are completely into a platform approach, leveraging what everyone does much best outside. Deliver the right value-added post-purchase service. Very important that our banks improve into their customer service, into their the way they engage with the customers and keep them very happy before, during, and after the purchase. Deliver an ecosystem and become the super app. Tinex in Vietnam is doing very well. They are becoming the central app that every Vietnamese person will use on his daily journey. Co-branding and embedded finance. Look at Mox out of Hong Kong, where a traditional bank, Standard Chartered, got aligned with the joint venture with a telco and a marketplace and created a fantastic mobile-only experience. Imagine out of Spain created a fantastic digital experience around lifestyle. And finally, make it different, make it exclusive, and make me feel that I am the client that you want to harness. And if you do that well, and to conclude, well, we looked earlier on about the three dimensions of service bank, value bank, and emotional bank. Well, if you do it the right way, you will be able to strengthen the service banking capabilities by having the right cloud API and connect and deliver the right experience. You will be able to deliver value that I am looking for by giving me the right personalized information and the right pricing. But more important, you will be able to build back emotional connection with your customers. How you do that? By being the main, leveraging the trust that the customer have in you and giving them what they look for thanks to the personalized data. And if you deliver the right banking service, if you deliver the right value and you deliver the right connections, well, automatically the NPS will go to the roof, the profitability as well will go to the roof. And to conclude what I told you at the beginning, customer engagement imperative is essential. And what to learn from the FinTech playbook by understanding how they do it, by decoding the value loop of the new age player, by leveraging what we've learned to transform the way we do it. And finally, by doing a complete change, embracing the future of banking by resetting the mindset, the metric, the technology, and the talent. This is a short version of our report. We invite you, of course, to go on our website and look and download it and get into the details and reach out to us for much more details. But in 3 words, decode the value loop, transform your capabilities, embrace the future of banking. That's it for the presentation of the report. But I think more than the presentation of the report, I think what is very important is to understand what is happening in the market. And today I'm very honored to have Sabrina with us, Sabrina Fox, who is the Director of Customer Delivery at Bank of Ireland, that is joining us from Dublin. Sabrina, how are you?
Hi, Elias, how are you? I'm very good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us out of Dublin. Sabrina, you listened to what we've been talking about it here, and clearly what we have observed is around 1 in 2 customers do not feel emotionally connected to their banks. How do you ensure that each customer gets a personalized journey, and how do you measure the customer engagement and experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the overview. really, really fascinating and interesting results. Look, from our perspective, technology is playing an increasing role in terms of delivering more personalization, and will be and continue to be a focus. I suppose from our perspective over the last number of years, and no different than what you've just shared there, it starts with listening and it starts with voice of customer and insights. So, we've implemented a very extensive Qualtrics platform, which is around that ongoing monitoring and tracking of feedback from a customer perspective, and that forms the basis of really the design and the build of our journeys, then to make sure that we're understanding what matters, and we have the journeys, I suppose, a continuous focus in terms of improving them and making sure that the design and the process is as relevant as possible. So that for me is it's getting the basics right. The extent of that ongoing listening, it's real time, we've daily feeds, then it feeds into a centralized design function, and that's getting the basics right and will continue to be an ongoing focus. In addition to that, building on your own feedback there a few minutes ago, it's very much around what's the next stage then. So, we've recently deployed technology, an AI engine since the beginning of the year, which is very much on our biggest channel, so our mobile channel, which is bringing to the next level around that targeted messaging and personalization. Again, very early days, but have seen fantastic engagement to date, and our ambition is to build on that even further throughout this year and onwards into the future.
Amazing to see that your main channel, or the channel that you are investing in it, I think is the right one, by the way, is the mobile one. Customers are much more now connected, and they would be able to come, but they need to be able to do it on a remote manner. To leverage on what we just said right now here is one of the things that came out of our executive survey is that the role of the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, has evolved to become the Chief Customer Strategist, with a single major task, which is orchestrating and hyper-personalized experiences and managing an end-to-end customer journey. In your experience, how has marketing evolved in the last few years toward this role?
Yeah, absolutely. The role of the CMO, it's absolutely much more in relation to, guiding the organization to that vision of being customer focused and keeping that relentless focus on innovation and creating those value add experiences. Also the core of, I suppose, understanding ensuring customers understand our proposition, and also our colleagues are proud and again, advocates for that experience. So that's definitely the case within our organization. We've seen a shift operationally in terms of how we operate over the last number of years as well, at a very practical level, moving to much more of that agile squad delivery, where you're working collaboratively with the business, to improve overall customer plans and journeys.
And talking about the evolution that you have done, if there is one thing that we really understood now is the customers are really looking to something what we would call a Netflix-like banking experience, right? I got into Netflix, and because they know me, they will automatically offer me what I'm looking for. But to deliver the Netflix-like experience, it does require banks to pursue a very customer-centric digital transformation. To make this transformation, we really need the three pillars: digital, of course, we need the right data, and we need the right delivery channels. And who's better than you as the Director of Customer Delivery to tell us about it? If you want to talk about data as one of the big pillars, digital, data, and delivery. If you want to talk about data, how important is the role of data in creating experiential customer journey? And maybe you could share some examples on a story, if I understand correctly, called Begin, the Begin campaign that you had recently launched.
Yeah, absolutely. Data is crucial. As we said, it's pivotal in terms of delivering those personalized experiences. So role of data, I suppose that the challenge is extracting the most valuable data so that we can analyze and we can create those really actionable insights. So we've invested quite heavily in terms of accessing systems that allow us to access that data to deliver more personalized insights. So touched off there, advancing our ability to target more effectively and to deliver more personalized comms. really to help boost that overall customer engagement. I suppose from you touched on the begin piece there, we would have used data, both customer data, market data, really to help us reposition our brand over the last number of years. And that's helped strengthen our overall, I suppose, correct attribution from a brand perspective, but also then to really differentiate based on customer insight in relation to financial well-being. So we know our customers, 7 out of 10 customers, Irish adults, have told us that banks helping them and supporting them and using their data to improve their financial well-being is a key ask and a key want, and that's an area that we've focused in on, and through a campaign over the last 2 years have really, I suppose, differentiated our position from a brand perspective there. So it's appeared within the top 10 in terms of brand metrics over that period. So definitely, it's a first for a bank to have that association and to be known and associated from a financial well-being. So it goes to the essence of building on the right insight, but taking the actionable piece and making sure that you're very clear and focused. And it definitely has delivered for us in that respect. It's about going to the next step now and adding personal insights. Sorry, I lost you there.
And that's where the power of data is at the heart of what you do. But Sabrina, we talked about how the great delivery. Let's look at the dark side of it. We are now living in an experience economy. And there is an emphasis shifting to how products and services can affect customers' everyday life. In this age of experience economy, what are the challenges that the marketing executives are facing in delivering this experience economy?
Yeah, I suppose, look, the key thing is there's so much information, and we've access to so much information. It's really about working, I suppose, collaboratively to make sure that we're delivering and actioning the right insights. As you've said there, it's about the experience. And again, as we've talked about from a fintech point of view, expectations from customers' point of view have been set and are set on the basis of their experiences with other brands. So it's an expectation now that you get the basics right, but you build on that to add the value add and the long-term value. So that is one of the key things that we're seeing. And again, it requires ongoing investment over a number of years to make sure that it's not just one proof point. You have a continuous delivery of multiple proof points.
Fantastic, amazing to hear it from you, who is in charge of customer delivery. Clearly, you have an agenda, you are engaging with the customers, and seems that the market is rewarding you for being a brand that is being recognized as this. Sabrina, thank you so much for being with us today, and really appreciate the concrete insight you shared with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elias.
Thank you. So to summarize what we just said and to link it back to what we said is, by understanding what the market is doing, we can do it better. And by understanding, Bank of Ireland looked into how the new players are doing it, and they transform the whole digital and data capabilities to deliver the right experience. And as we just heard it from Sabrina, a major transformation within the bank is taking place to deliver the right experience to the customers. So if we move into the same approach of, but decode, transform, and embrace, but we take it from a business point of view, from a tech point of view, who's best than the cloud, the Google Cloud, and Kristen Brown, that runs for the financial services, all the strategy and solution leads into the cloud. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us from New York today. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me, Elias. Glad to be here.
Pleasure, and really great to have you with us today. Kristen, you've been listening to what we've been saying here, and clearly today every single bank is pursuing digital transformation. By all means, everybody is investing in that. When we did our executive survey, 90% of the banking executives are still finding that their legacy system is inhibiting them to go into the digital transformation, a barrier to make it happen. It also inhibits the banks from embracing the new and emerging technology, being AI, machine learning, big data, analytics. How can cloud help the banking sector in delivering on that with their transformation goals?
So that like the cloud is designed exactly for all those points you just brought up, right? It's for the digital first, agility, adaptability. Some of the current banks, partly it's suffering from the world of merger and acquisition that the banking industry has come through, and they have these monolithic IT and tech stacks, right, that they've had, and the old adages of these singular service buses, right, to execute their capabilities. So that's the parts that you're talking about on those barriers to entry. So by moving to the cloud, it allows you to start to segment those pieces, and have like serverless architectures and design. You can look at your data holistically, and have be able to see where do you have gaps in data, where do you have data quality issues. Be able to apply, as Sabrina mentioned, around those analytical and ML capabilities to let your data tell you information you may not have seen or known before. By having the cloud, you have the agility, in choosing your tech stack and the capabilities to handle. So you can have a global multi-channel true capabilities with all the product sets that you have.
So true, so true. And in all my conversation with the bankers, everybody has moved to the cloud part of the strategy. I must say I'm not seeing major traction yet, but clearly it is happening. And clearly, once you're in the cloud, to your point, the new technology, the personalization, the data enrichment become very important. You mentioned what we've been discussing with Sabrina just before. When we were speaking with Sabrina, who runs the customer delivery at Bank of Ireland, we emphasized a lot that banks must focus on digital data and delivery. And cloud is at the center of all this. Christian, could you share with us why cloud-first banks lead in better managing and using data and how they are doing it?
Yeah. So similar to one of the pieces in your report that you talked about, where they're starting on that modern core, core transformation, digitization, then microservices, and then building on, multiple digital channels. That is where we're finding, where they're leading first. So when you're working with a modern core, you have it in running it into the cloud. You're not tied to a lot of the prior regionalizations or traditional, data center pieces used to be tethered to, right? So when you're starting at a modernized core and in a cloud that has the global reach, that gets you right there is, kind of off the bat that they're ahead of the game. And then by using all the different capabilities in data analytics, using the AI, machine learning capabilities, these serverless technologies, right? Containerization, which comes with the cloud. It allows that then next layer, right, of the data and how you aggregate the data, how you look at the data, how do you, actually be able to apply those different artificial intelligence techniques like customization, like personalization, like knowing your customer, right? Having customer centricity, right? Understanding all 360 or nowadays, what is it, 920 degrees that they're saying, dimensions, right, of knowing about each of your customers, and helping to start connect, that your different products, right? You have the same customer, but before may have worked with 3 different lines of business with you as a bank, and some of the, believe it or not, there are some banks that had the silos and delineations, right, in their old technology stack that inhibited, right, understanding that Jim Jones is both a small business owner and a personal banker, right? So having those capabilities, it sounds simple, but it's those things of how do you get to that Netflix experience as you move. And then just the cloud is digital first, right? And that's where today you find that is where the growth in the channels are coming all through digital experiences, and the cloud lends itself to those channels.
It's amazing how much we can benefit from it and empower the delivery and give the right experience to to the customers. So my last question to you, banks are clearly today, all of them are revamping their IT system to really become platform-based. However, we are observing they are still playing catching up with the new age player, right? Each time they get to a level, we have seen a new digital player coming one step ahead. How can traditional banks take the leap into their transformation journey and be back at the forefront?
Well, some of the advice we give at Google Cloud, right, for banks is because you can't always be the be all and end all, right? Especially when you're making your investment in technology. We are trying to help with the cloud build a set of ecosystems, right? Financial ecosystems, and thinking banking as how do you, instead of necessarily competition or this leapfrogging back between each other, how can you leverage those capabilities and build out and stay core to what your teams, what you guys consider as a bank or a financial institution, your core products.
Yeah.
But then be able to leverage the ecosystem so you can still have the features and functionalities, right? That's part of what the cloud lends you to do, and be able to establish those partnerships, right? So that you don't have to go, you don't have to be a bank and be like, you know what, we're going to go create our own core bank, right? That's why, you can leverage those that are cloud native running in the core, and then just put your capabilities on top of those stacks. All different. There's many examples we can give, but that's where we're trying to help in the cloud, and think that's where you can take most advantage in the cloud. It's an ecosystem that you're joining now that has a whole other host of capabilities in a secure way that you can now have access to.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Christine. Amazing to see how technology is an enabler. Technology is a make it happen. And if I come back to the three conclusions that we talked about, it's to transform and embrace. You need to have the right platform to do it. You need to have the right digital capability, the right data capabilities, and the right Lego play, I would say, to make it happen and be able to put the different blocks. And that's where the whole cloud initiative, where Google is playing quite well, is make it happen. So we can learn from how the new players are doing it. We can transform ourselves, and we can get us into the new look and feel. Kristen, again, thank you so much for joining us. Sabrina, thank you so much for joining us today. And to conclude, and I think it's very important to try also, now that we told you what to do, is to tell you how to do it. And I'm going to pass it with pleasure to Chandramouli, who will walk us about what are the offerings that Capgemini has to make it happen. Chandramouli, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elias, for the fantastic research and the insights from the overall. So we saw, to start with, we saw the importance of experience. Elias spoke about engagement and how the new age banks are really engaging these customers, driving better loyalty, and how there are also struggles for the executives in terms of identifying new customer segments. So that's where we have the first thing in terms of helping them with the overall brand experience. So this is really in terms of how do you connect the brand with the experience, helping the companies to define loyalty. How do we actually convert your customers to brand advocates? What kind of journeys have to be created? So we have our Frog brand through Capgemini Invent that really focuses on working with our customers through their challenges. It could be, we have heard challenges around, mergers and acquisitions and post mergers and acquisition. How do we really tell the customer what is the combined value of the firm? Now, how do we redefine the experience? So we are solving those problems. There are banks that are coming to us and talking about going after new customer segments, launching new products into the market to be more attractive to certain customer segments. So we are solving those problems. And last but not the least, it's also the holistic bringing in the customer centricity from moving doing, the current product centric model, how do we really bring the combined, strength of the firm and be able to orchestrate that for the customers. So all of that covered through our, through the brand and experience as a pillar. The second thing that we spoke enough about personalization. Obviously, it's becoming one of the, sort of the hot topics right now in the market. But the challenge with the personalization is really understanding the data and the content, and how do we really, marry the data and the content with the right kind of decisioning platform to drive that the personalization. And in banks, easier said than done. There are multiple product organizations. There are on top of it, there is high regulations within the bank. We need to get compliance approvals for everything. There are things with respect to privacy and consent management which needs to be dealt with. So given all these challenges, how do we really drive the personalization for banks? And that's where we have evolved a personalization offer which is very, very focused on financial services. The third pillar that we focus on is really the loyalty and the offer management. We have offer management. The loyalty is a broader topic in terms of how do we help the customers in terms of driving the loyalty with their customers. And then subsequently, we also offer, which also forms a core part of the loyalty. How do we really drive the loyalty for the how do we really drive those offer management? So this includes sort of the end-to-end automation that we need to have from the offer management perspective, right from creation of the offers to the fulfillment of the offers, be it dealing with coupons or be it dealing with the relationship-based offers or product bundles and bundled offers. So how do we really drive these things seamlessly? Because what we have seen in banking, again, going back to what I spoke about regulations and compliance, it takes a lot of time for orchestrating some of these things within the banking. And what we have evolved is a very specific offer, that takes into considerations the challenges that are there within the banking industry to put together the offer management and how can banks be really, really efficient in terms of driving those offers, and mixing that with the personalization. How do you leverage the data and the content to drive more personalized offers? So the next one is the overall data and technology. Of course, thanks for our partner Google. They obviously are a very, very key player in terms of the overall marketing landscape. We of course do a lot of programs with them, working on creating the customer data hub, and how do we leverage that to drive better attributions and better measurement capabilities for the marketers. But in all, the marketing landscape, the way we see in the market is sort of very complicated, because a lot of banks have grown through acquisitions, and as a result, we see disparate tools that are there, and many of these tools doesn't integrate well with each other. So the work really is in terms of how do we really help our customers to put this together to make sure that they can deliver the promise, around experience, around better personalization, around driving better loyalty. And lastly, we cannot stop without having a focus on content, because content is a very, very important aspect of marketing. So right from start, the content creation to the complete workflow management around the content to the disclosure management, which is very critical from a financial services perspective. How do we really combine all of these things, all of these little blocks, if you will, to be able to deliver content, again, across different channels. So the challenge of, multiple channels and dealing content across multiple channels. And if we need to really do personalization on such content, we need to have, overall better taxonomy management across the overall content in the enterprise. So we really work closely with our customers to kind of, define all of these things. How do we bring in, the taxonomy management enrichment across the whole thing? How do we address the, the regulatory workflows? How do we combine better the content with the data, and how do we drive better decisions, all of this real time, and be able to, deliver those, real-time experiences, leveraging, cloud and, the other MarTech technologies, and how do we bring together the data, both first party, second party, and third party, and be able to deliver those experiences given the aspects of privacy, the regulation within the bank, and and also the the changes that are taking place in the marketplace with respect to third party cookie deprecations, or other changes that are taking. So that's exactly what we have done in terms of really taking all these different aspects together. How do we help our customers to be more effective, more efficient, from a marketing perspective, and also most importantly, how can they develop strategies to ensure that they can create those better loyalties, better experiences, define better customer journeys to really win in the marketplace, and be better than the fintech, because they have all the strengths, especially the traditional banks, and how can they move faster, bringing in all these strengths and really delivering it to the customer. Thank you. Over to you, Elias.
Thank you very much, Hannah.
Yes, hello again there. Thank you very much, Chandramouli. And we do actually have a question for you, Elias, coming through the chat, if that's okay. And we do have a couple of minutes left, so I'll dive straight in. We have a question here from Nasman that says, how do you marry customer experience with the low opt-in from customers owing to the data privacy regulations?
It is, by all means, it is a challenge, right? You can't do with me what I didn't tell you to. Now, that's a starting point, but clearly today, banks are the biggest data generators, right? Every single bank, through my transactions, a lot about me. And I don't need to opt in or opt out. It is part of my behavior with you. So even if the customer is opting out of different sources, banks should still be able to generate insight from what they do with them. The biggest challenge that we are observing now is consumers are still keeping their main account with the bank. So i.e. my salary is still coming through a traditional bank, but soon after, a large ticket is being transferred to my digital new age player bank. And that's the biggest risk for the traditional banks. You are losing all the value of observing the customers. And if there's one thing that you really need to focus on, is to make sure that the customer does not shift the large portion of his daily spending somewhere else, because when they do that, you miss the daily spending, you miss where he eats, you miss how much he spends on entertainment, does he travel, etc., etc. And all these transactions are the one that will get you the value-added services. Now, yes.
I'll probably add to what Elias said. So in the traditional sense, the banking, obviously they were always protective about the data, about the customer consent and all of that. It's not new to banks, right? So the non-regulated players had an edge over the bank because they had access to third-party cookies. They were doing, a lot of things with, which actually affects the privacy, but it was happening outside of the banking area, right? So, but in the current scheme of things, with GDPR coming in, and with Google obviously taking a stance that they are going to decommission the cookies on their side, there is a level playing field for the banks with the with the non-banking industry. So we see it as a huge opportunity for the bank to really leverage this and craft those experiences which are equal to the non-banking industry at this stage.
Thank you both for that, and it just about brings us to the end of our time here today. So let me just thank all of you for being here today. Thank you, Elias. Thank you, Sabrina, Kristen, and Chandramouli. It's been a really insightful session. And here up on the screen, obviously, you can see where to download the report itself, where to get in contact with the Capgemini team, and the hashtag to follow for all of the posts and all the information that's being out there. And I guess the final three words, Elias, should therefore be decode, transform, and embrace, right? So thank you all very much for being here today. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.